Hey, welcome back to the Gaming Nexus Show, the podcast for people who like video games but want something different from a regular video game podcast. Each episode we take a theme. Eric, what was our fantastic theme this time around?
Horses.
Fantastic. We took a theme.
I hope I get to pick it again this week because I'm just.
Oh no,
I'm
you're
just
no
as
longer
unprepared.
Nope.
Why?
No.
Who is?
I'm not. You're not in the list.
What?
though.
You can't take him off
our
the list.
No.
That's not
He's
democracy.
gone 3 times. Yeah, you're right. It's not a democracy. You're absolutely right. It's not.
Oof.
You're absolutely right. It's not a democracy. Thank you, Joe. That's very appreciative. Wow. I'm glad you have my back. That's great. Not a democracy.
I feel like I come up with some pretty hard-hitting topics.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's great.
All right,
Not
we'll
a
fight about.
democracy, like Joe said.
We'll have words about this later.
Yeah, you can have say whatever words you want.
All right.
But we're towards the end of the year, boys. Any New Year's resolutions coming up for you guys? Like not picking shitty words to do podcasts on?
Not picking my nose.
Not picking. There you go.
No, I've been on a diet for like 2-3 months now, so I'm just gonna keep on with that. It's working out pretty well. I'm doing the intermittent fasting thing, so I only eat between noon and 7 in the day. So mostly 6. I try to be done by 6, but sometimes it goes a little over. It's working great. I eat whatever the hell I want, and I'm losing, I don't know, like 2 pounds a week or so. It's going great. So
I resolve not to argue with idiots on Twitter.
Oh, good luck with that.
How's that going?
Thanks.
Yeah. Ugh.
What's like your favorite thing to do?
Yeah, I didn't think I would be doing that, right? Because I wasn't on Twitter until I had to be on Twitter for publishers and developers and shit like that. And I was like, this is fine. No, it's not fine. It's just bad.
Yeah.
All of you suck. All of you suck on Twitter. All of you. That's right.
That's all of us too.
I mean,
Thanks, Joe.
No.
We love you too.
No,
we love you.
No, Eric, not you, and Max, definitely not you. But all the rest of you suck on Twitter. Oh, Elliot. Sorry, I missed Elliot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm like super uncontroversial on Twitter. I don't have like the balls to be like, let's argue about.
I typically don't engage. Like I see people that put shit out there, like PlayStation is reliant on Xbox for its success and blah blah blah. And like, just shut the fuck up. Like nobody wants to hear. Nobody wants to hear your stupid opinion on that. Like,
see, that's my resolution. I'm gonna just say, just shut the fuck up. Yeah, I'm gonna start calling everybody goofy motherfuckers.
That counts as arguing with fools on Twitter. Yeah. Sorry.
Get out the spray bottle. Psst, psst.
All right, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. What about you, Elliot? What's your resolution?
Yeah. I don't really have one. Last year I wanted to do more like writing, and I've definitely done that this year.
Hey, great job.
So that was pretty easy. I don't know. Maybe more. I don't know. So read more. I always want to read more. I always set out to like read a book a month, and I do really good the first 2 or 3 months, and then I just like fall apart.
Dude, this book I'm reading right now, I've renewed it from the library like 3 times.
I'm the same
like
way. I have
47% the way through it. Like I'm just like
I'm reading
crawling
right
through
now.
this book.
It's called Far From the Light of Heaven. It's a sci-fi murder mystery on a spaceship.
Well, that sounds good.
It's actually really good. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm gonna read every night before I go to bed, and then I end up playing Tetris or
Tetris
like Brain Age
Effect? Tetris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Effect Connected. Okay. Yeah, I ended up picking up it on the Switch, and it's just so good on the Switch.
Beautiful.
You just lay in bed and with the dock and just like hold it around your face, and and that music, the soundtrack to that Tetris is just so good.
Agreed.
So anyway, but we had another topic. Eric, you came up with an idea for us to kind of chat a little bit about.
Well,
this
I
year.
just thought we've got 3 strong horse segments. I feel like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just thought since this is the last podcast of the year, just real quick, we could all just name our favorite game of the year. Or maybe even let's just blow it out and say favorite game that we played this year. It doesn't have to even be like released this year. What was your
that's
favorite
good because I'm way behind.
gaming experience of the year?
So essentially, you're asking us to pick our horse.
Pick your horse.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh,
Come on,
nice.
man.
There you go.
on.
There you go. So let's start with you, Elliot.
Well, so it's pretty easy for me. It's going to be Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon.
Ooh.
It's a game I just got not even a month ago, but man, I am so into it. I I had kind of been following it for a little bit. I played the first Shovel Knight. I never really played much of the other stuff. But I love puzzle games. I'm a big puzzle game guy. Like I said, Tetris or Sudoku or Picross. Like the Picross games are on sale right now, and I picked up like the only one I don't have yet, like Picross 6 or 7 or something, because it's like $7 and they're just like fun.
You know,
games.
I've never played a Picross game. I don't even understand what it is.
Oh, it's kind of like Sudoku.
It's like picking your
It's
nose
kinda
mixed with
not.
motocross.
It's exactly that.
That's right.
So I just kind of like those like weird puzzly style games, something that I can like sink in, and just like zone out to. And I do that a lot of times before I go to bed. And so, Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon's a lot like that. It's like Tetris. It's like a roguelike. It's kind of like a matching style game, but not at the same time. In my review, I was like, this is the new big puzzle game for the next 4 or 5 years. I don't think there's going to be a better puzzle game like this style of game. You know what I mean? I think it's, there's a couple of big games like that. There's like Tetris, Bejeweled, Threes, or 2048. They're the same game, just made by different people. Like those kind of puzzle games come along every 3 or 4 years. I'm like, man, this is so good. I can play this endlessly. And that's Shovel Knight for me. I can play that game endlessly. It's so cool. And then they add like characters, it makes the game super replayable. The versus mode is really cool too. So I think it's just a really well polished like indie like puzzle game. So I absolutely fell in love with it. Before that though, I would have said Chivalry 2, because I still think that's a lot of fun to play.
Oh
too.
yeah, I still haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, I love it. I think Chivalry 2 is just kind of goofy fun. It's medieval swords and running at people and screaming, and it's just fun. So how about you, Max? What did you play this year that you liked the most?
I think I'm going to go with Hitman 3, which actually did come out this year. Partially because you can put Hitman 1 and 2 right into it, and it's all 3 of the new Hitman games, and they are just so funny. They're just such funny games. Like one of my friends, we were talking, who's a game developer, we were talking about silent protagonist, and she was like, she had mentioned that the guy from Hitman was the silent protagonist, and I was like, no, he's not. He's like one of the funniest dudes ever. You are seriously sleeping on this guy, because he's got lines of like, what are some of his lines? Like, I was poisoning a race car driver with, I was impersonating a doctor, giving this race car driver a like vitamin boost after a long race. And she's like, well, what's in this medicine, doc? And he's like, oh, belladonna, aconite, monkshood. She's like, huh, belladonna, isn't that poisonous? And he's just like, I'm not worried. And it's just like, the writing is so dry and deadpan, and it is delightful. And then the game on top of it is just a very fun sandbox puzzly way of finding dumb ways to get into places. It's just you can just keep going at it and keep unlocking lots of challenges. I've been delighted with it.
Never played
the
a
first
Hitman
level in Hitman 3, which is the murder mystery in the big British manor.
Oh yeah,
I think it's
second
British.
level actually. Yeah.
Is that the second level? Yeah, it's been a few months since I played it. Oh my gosh, one of the most stellar like levels in a game I've ever played in my life. It is so freaking good. Like you don't even have to solve the murder mystery if you don't want to.
No, you're not even there to.
No, you're not even there to solve the murder mystery, but you can engage with it and just put on your Sherlock Holmes hat and just go at it until you figured it out. And it's so epic. It's amazing. It's an amazing game. You're right.
Mm-hmm. I've been going through making sure I do the levels like a number of times before I move on, and I still haven't gotten to that Patagonia level or Argentina, or anyway, I'm still waiting on to get to your advice when you were like, if you think you can crush someone in the grape press, you can. Haven't made it there yet, but I think I might start that level tonight after this.
Oh, it's
I finished up the one before.
It's really big. Like it's a really big and complicated one. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool. Joe, it is your time. What's your favorite?
I am laid out the gate on this one, horse reference. But
Hey.
I will go with Returnal, definitely. It beat me down. It keeps beating me down. But I love it. I cannot stop. I cannot stop playing it.
Worth the price of a PS5?
Yeah. Returnal for the PS5.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the coolest games I've ever played. Like and that with that being said, I still haven't played Hades yet. I still haven't played Metroid Dread yet. And And Returnal is right now my jam. So Returnal, yeah, hands down, best game I've played all year.
Where are you at with it since we last talked?
Still have not killed the first boss.
Dude,
That's
I love
how,
it. I
That's
love
how
it.
brutal it is for me.
I love it. It is.
I
It
haven't
is-
gone back since the last stream. That's how brutal it is for me.
Yeah, it hurts your feelings a little
It
bit.
does. It does.
Like when I was reviewing that game, it took every ounce of perseverance in my body to like keep pushing at that game because I just wanted to put it down at certain points, you know. and so yeah, I fully understand like taking a break and coming back, and you know. But while you're on breaks, it needles at you.
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
just tickles the back of your brain.
It's like, oh, I could have done that. And I got so close, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I got to the third level of that boss, you know, because the boss has 3 levels, shifts or whatever.
Phases.
I got to the third, and he smashed me. And you know, closeness only works in horseshoes and hand grenades. Horseshoes. Come on, y'all.
You're killing it.
in it
You're
to
killing
win
it.
Shit.
Well done, sir. Well done.
No problem. So yeah, Returnal, definitely.
That's awesome.
All right.
Nice.
Eric?
So I don't think it's going to surprise anybody when I say my favorite game.
Spirit. It's Spirit, right?
What is it?
Spirit.
Oh
It's
yeah, Spirit. That's right. No, the Forgotten City.
Tried.
Definitely my
Yeah.
favorite game of the year. I just keep circling around to it. You know, it's funny because I think I gave it a 9.5 and I gave other games 10s, you know. But the reason I did that wasn't for lack of total appreciation for the game. It was because there were a few little technical issues that I just couldn't ignore like when reviewing the game. But man, that game just stuck with me. Like I think about it all the time. It's so good. If anybody,
Wow.
it's on Game Pass right now. If anybody has access to
Yeah.
it on Game Pass, I 100% encourage you to download it and check it out. It is so freaking good. It started life
Yeah, and you can do it. Can you play it in one sitting? Or pretty close?
8 hours, six to 8 hours, I think.
not
Don't sit
bad.
that long.
So if you're dedicated,
And again, it's been a while. And if you know exactly what you're doing, yes, absolutely. Like you could speed run it if you know what you're doing in probably 15 minutes, you know. But it's just that discovery, and it's so great because it takes adventure games, which is something that I normally kind of shy away from. You know, like I don't like point and click adventure games. Like go find a little tiny pixel over here and take it over there and stick the key in the lock and turn it 3 times. That shit drives me crazy. But it takes the overall mechanics of adventure games and just totally reinvents them in a way that makes them feel organic and lifelike. And like all of the characters in the game react to your actions, you know, and stuff that you do very early on pays off hours later. And it's just freaking fantastic. It's so good. The time loop thing is wonderful. You know, I just can't speak highly of it enough. Especially if you're a fan of games like Skyrim, because it started life as a Skyrim mod.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
It is like one giant, fantastically interesting Skyrim quest. You know, like that's essentially what it is. But yeah, it's wonderful. I just can't speak highly of it enough. You know, highly
Nice.
enough of it. I don't know how to say that. It's the bomb.
Nice.
take it.
Well, I guess with that, let's kind of just get into the show. We got 3 really good. Well, we got 1 really, really good segment, and then 2 pretty decent segments.
Wow.
I've listened to all 3,
Diminishing
so I can say
returns.
that. Oh, look, Eric. We're gonna start off with the strongest one, which is Eric's monologue. I think it's phenomenal. It's a really good listen. It's worth the 9 minutes. If you're gonna only listen to 9 minutes of this show, that's the best.
If you're only
going
going to listen to 9 minutes of the show,
this week.
too fucking late. 15 minutes in. Elliot, we need to lead with these. Open. You say your show, how we're different. You don't clarify how we're different. Then you give your table of contents, and everyone can skip ahead to the bangers.
Max, I don't know if you heard earlier,
Cut
but it's
this
not a
out
democracy.
again.
So it's
Then allow
Thank you.
Then allow me
Nothing we
to,
can
to
do.
riot.
yeah. Oh, I mean, you can riot all you want.
The
but
doomer?
Elliot is the glue that keeps this thing together. That's another horse reference, you guys.
The horse
Come on,
glue.
y'all.
The horse glue.
Listen. Sorry.
You're on it. You're on it with
I'm
the
on it.
horses.
I'm on it.
You are on it. Saddle up, boys, for a good show.
See, you ruined it.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
Music maker.
In March of 2021, I had a partial knee replacement on my left knee. People look at me and they say, you don't look old enough to have a knee replacement, but I am. When I was younger, I drank a lot of beer and I played in a lot of bands, and I did permanent damage to my body. I'm the sort of person that bounces up and down in place for hours on end. And I used to do this thing where I would climb up on a speaker and jump off and land on my knees like a big fucking dummy. I was in my early 20s at the time. I was usually at least 12 beers in, and I didn't really care about what was going to happen to me in the future. Just wasn't a concern in the moment. I've never been a person that thought too much about my body while performing, and as a result, I flail a lot, and I fall down, and I bash my head on the microphone and bleed everywhere. It's just kind of the way I've always been. My knee started hurting really badly about 3 or 4 years ago. Joseph, who's on the podcast, had a birthday performance with a improv group that he was working with. And I came out and we performed some songs together and did some sketches. And I'd noticed the previous few times that I had performed, when I woke up the next morning, my knee would hurt for a day or two, almost to the point where I couldn't walk. But this time, after that particular performance, where for some reason we did big time wrestling moves, I woke up and my knees hurt, and then they just never got better. So for 3 or 4 years, I've struggled. I found it hard to stand up. I found it hard to walk. I tried everything I could think of. I went to this doctor and that doctor. I went to the chiropractor. I even got acupuncture. Nothing really worked. It turned out that I had arthritis in both of my knees, but my left one in particular was a wreck. The cartilage was gone. I had cysts back behind my kneecap. In general, my knee was shot and it was never going to get better. And as I became more and more debilitated, I leaned more and more on my favorite hobby, which is, of course, video games. Before my surgery, I was almost completely off my feet for months. Mid-pandemic, I was just hanging out on the couch, watching TV, playing video games, working at a desk in my bedroom, not going anywhere, not doing anything. As a dad with 2 little kids under 10, this isn't exactly an ideal situation. A couple of months before my surgery, Red Dead Redemption 2 Online went on sale on the PlayStation Store for $5. I was delighted. I'd never actually spent much time with Red Dead. I played Red Dead Redemption 1 on the PS3 and probably got halfway through the story before I bailed. And I'd heard such great things about the new one that I really wanted to try it out. So I threw down my $5 and bought it. I downloaded Red Dead, messed around with some of the activities, and immediately cast everything aside in favor of hunting. I had thrown $20 into the game to get a little pile of gold, and with that I quickly unlocked all of the different options. I was a bounty hunter, I was a bootlegger, I was able to search the forest for flowers to turn in for cash. All I wanted to do was hunt. I would wake up early in the morning, 2 or 3 hours before I had to start work, limp out to the couch, lay there, and just hunt. Shooting rabbits, shooting groundhogs, shooting snakes. One time, I found a moose in the forest. I shot it. It charged me. I shot it again. I downed it. I skinned it, threw the skin on the back of my horse, and I never saw a moose again. I had 3 horses in the game. The first cheapy horse the game gives you, I named Taco, which turned into a naming convention. The next horse I bought when I had a little cash under my belt, I named Enchilada. And when I finally invested for one of the best horses in the game, a beautiful white mare, I named it Sour Cream. My kids and I started calling it Creamy for short. For a time, Taco, Enchilada, and Creamy were my most steadfast companions in life. I spent more time with them than I did my wife, my co-workers, and my children. I was still playing Red Dead Online when my surgery happened. I went into the surgery not really understanding what it was going to be like. I purposely didn't watch videos online beforehand. I didn't want to know what they were going to do to my body. I just went in a cheerful mood, let them shave my leg, let them put a tube down my throat and knock me out, and I woke up 3 or 4 hours later in a nightmare of pain. My leg was huge. It was swollen. It was purple. It was wrapped in gauze and tape and immobilized. They always tell you how immediately after a knee replacement, the doctors and nurses make you stand up and walk. And that is absolutely true. While the nerve suppressors are still active, they stand you up out of your chair, make you bounce up and down on the balls of your feet, make you march in place, and then they sit you back down again. I was given cookies and water to help fight the pain in my throat from the intubation. I don't really remember the drive home from the surgery center, but I do remember that as soon as I got home, I had my wife help me get situated on the sofa. She brought me a few pain pills, and then I asked her to give me the PlayStation controller, because all I wanted to do was play Red Dead Redemption Online. I was sleeping on the sofa because I couldn't lift my leg far enough to get into the bed in the bedroom. I would wake up at 2 a.m. in a nightmare of pain, still a few hours before I was able to take my pain pills. Not knowing what to do to distract myself, I would fire up Red Dead Redemption 2, run around, do my daily quests, kill 5 rabbits, kill 5 coyotes, go shoot some pronghorns. You know the drill. I was amassing so much wealth in Red Dead Redemption Online that I was able to buy whatever I wanted. It reached a point where there was nothing else that I wanted to buy, and I just let the money pile up, but still my obsession continued. I was just bound determined to hunt. It's all I could do to distract myself. Red Dead Redemption became a type of medication for me. I don't like narcotics. I generally do my best to avoid pain pills in general. My family has addiction issues, and I'm afraid of them, to be honest. I've spent enough time in my life trying to get various monkeys off my back. I no longer drink 12 beers at a time. In fact, all of my vices are gone. No caffeine, no tobacco, all except video games. So, after 3 days, I kicked all of the pain pills and decided that I was only going to use Advil going forward. This left me in a significant amount of pain, obviously. So I used Red Dead Online as a way to distract my mind from what was going on with my body. When just the slightest movement of my toes or my ankle would cause unthinkable waves of pain and nausea to go ripping through my body, I would instead focus on the screen, where some wayward wolves had wandered into my camp, fools that they were. I would go and hunt turtles down by the creek, throw them on the back of my horse, and drag them back to be skinned or shelled, whatever you do with turtles. I don't fucking know. With long afternoons spent completely immobilized and nothing else to occupy my time, I would hop on Creamy's back and go on sightseeing expeditions off into the desert, up into the mountains, just to see what I could find. Of course, killing everything along the path. The bottom line was, for the majority of my recovery, I played Red Dead Redemption. As a result, in my mind, Red Dead Redemption became irrevocably connected to the pain of that surgery. As the weeks went by, and I started physical therapy, and I regained motion in my leg, I was more and more interested in getting up and moving around, and resuming the life that I had before my knee went as bad as it did. I was interested in going out to the park, and taking walks, and taking drives with my family, and mowing the lawn, and cooking on the grill, and doing anything to get off the sofa. And as a result, I broke my addiction to Red Dead Redemption 2. I think about Creamy and Taco and Enchilada often, and I'm sometimes tempted to re-download Red Dead Online and hop back in. I may do it someday, but I'll probably limit my time with the game. A vacation here, a holiday there. I don't know if I'm ever going to dive back into an online game in the way that I did during the period after my surgery. After some bouts earlier in life with World of Warcraft and DC Universe Online, I knew that my addictive nature applied just as much to video games as it did to substances. But there are times in your life where you simply have no choice, and you need narcotics. In my case, the best narcotic was Red Dead Redemption 2 Online.
Music Matrix.
So, Scott, before we really get talking, tell everybody where we can find you at.
Well, you can find my podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. It's Budget Arcade, and we're in all the podcasting apps. You can also find us on YouTube, but you'll have to search it as Budget Arcade Free-to-Play Gaming. And we review free-to-play games every other week, and you've been on it quite a bit. You were almost a founding member.
Yeah,
pretty
I was
close to it.
Yeah. I'm the closest, the next step up, I guess, right? Kinda, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, we pulled you in, probably 10 episodes in?
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
then,
close. It's a couple months in.
And then Cody, one of our founders, ended up leaving, and you stayed there for a good year and a half, I think it was.
Yeah, it was pretty close. It's just hard. It's hard. You guys play a lot of not super fun games some weeks.
Yeah, I know, but that's kind of the burden that we bear to make sure people can see the good free-to-play games as opposed to the bad ones.
That's very true. I know. I was just on last week's episode, and that was like my third or fourth in a row. So like after a couple of hits, you're going to have some real big misses. So no spoilers, but I have a feeling I know where this one was going to lie.
Right?
Yeah. So you're bound to. You guys are on Twitter too, right?
Oh yeah, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, TikTok.
Oh yeah, your TikToks are solid, my guy. Solid.
Yeah, I need to make some more of them though.
Absolutely, you do. So you were literally listening to the last episode of the Gaming Nexus show, and you literally texted me. I don't remember exactly what you said. Let me pull it up that way we can kind of see. But you had a fantastic idea. Right off the bat.
Yeah, well, when Eric said horses, I was like, okay, you could either make him relive his experience of playing Spirit, or we could go with this idea.
Yeah, and you're like, let's talk about like in-game mounts, which aren't always horses, but sometimes they are.
Well, 90% of the time they are, I would say. I mean, you've got Red Dead Redemption, you've got your horse mount on that. I don't think he rides anything but horses, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, there's not a lot of dragons in Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, and I know you were going to probably drop into the World of Warcraft because you and I both have a lot of experience in that.
Yeah, the crazy thing about World of Warcraft and mounts are some of the requirements for those mounts are just legendary. Epic doesn't even do them justice, whether it's like mounts that you can't even get anymore, or mounts that have like a 0.1% drop rate, or mounts that require some crazy grind to achieve.
Right.
Like 1 or 2 expansions later are like take a weekend to get, which is crazy. I remember fishing for the polar bear mount, which had a 0.1% drop rate, and finally getting it. And then they raised the drop percentage to something ridiculous. And I was like, oh, cool. Now everyone has this mount that took me 3 months to get randomly, and I was like, oh, cool. This is just
and World of Warcraft did that a lot too. I remember. So when I started playing was right before Burning Crusade dropped.
Okay.
And so as a paladin, you could do a quest to get your mount. And from what I had heard, it was kind of a hard and tedious quest.
And
but by the time I had started playing,
too.
Yeah, it was expensive. But by the time I started playing, everything had been like changed just enough where it was actually really easy for me to get. But yeah,
they even changed it eventually to just like you just paid for the spell, or it was so it became even less of a thing. The World of Warcraft, I think it was during Legion, had this mount, this like skull dragon mount that was supposed to look a lot like Deathstrike or Deathwing, And in order to do it, you had to like beat like 3 or 4 bosses within a certain time frame to unlock the hidden boss and then beat him. And by the end of the expansion, you could basically solo it. But like when it first came out, it was like next to impossible. You had to get lucky. Not only did your team have to like know everything, but you had to even get lucky. And then even once you did get the mount to drop, it was only 1 mount per like for every 5 people. So like 1 out of the 5 of you was even going to get it to begin with. So and you can only do it once a week. So like if everybody in your party wanted to get it, it would take at least 5 weeks to do something like that. And then by the end, it was just like, oh yeah, just go in and do it by yourself. It's not a big deal. So it was so cool to have for a minute, and then it's just like taken away from you, and you're like, oh, but that's kind of World of Warcraft's problem.
One of my favorite mounts in World of Warcraft was probably the one that you could get into Old Stratholme, where you like ended up having to go through like Old Stratholme whenever it was like being overrun by the zombies and everything, and one person could get the mount at the very end boss in that level, or not the end boss. It was like a second to last boss, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that.
But every like one person in the party, but it was a guaranteed drop every time.
Yeah.
And so I would just ended up taking my entire guild through one at a time, and like we got everybody that mount, and it was like the first flying mount that you could get that easily.
Yeah. There was one in, I think it was Wrath of the Lich King, where the mount drop rate was like 0.01%. And my best friend growing up, my childhood best friend, was in my guild, and he was doing that run with some random people who were also in the guild, and he was the raid leader, and the mount dropped, and he ninja looted it for himself. So he took it for himself, and then like G-quit, and left the guild immediately, and people reported him, and he lost that mount.
Oh no.
So like
That
people were
sucks.
like, hey, kind of like fuck him. He was like, he took it for himself, and then kicked everyone out. So he was like, not even, I was like, yeah, that's kind of what you get. And ever since then, I was like never wanting to play with him. Because I'm like, oh, if something cool drops, you're just going to like take it and like leave. You're not even going to like fairly roll on it.
Speaking of horses, did you get the Headless Horseman mount?
That was a requirement, I think, originally for the original hollowed title. So they started this thing with World of Warcraft where if you completed all of the holidays, you got a special holiday mount or title or something like that. And one of the requirements the very first year to get the hollowed title was to get that mount. And so I got it my very first year, the very first time I tried to do it. And then as soon as that like Halloween season had passed, they like changed the requirement. So a lot of other people were able to get it, but I did originally get it. So I got the original one way back in the day. The very first year they started that holiday thing, which was really kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I had like the Baron mount from Kara. I got both Baron mounts from like the first version of Kara and the second one with Legion. So I had some pretty cool mounts. There was even a mount that you got for having mounts. Like if you had collected a certain amount of mounts, you got a bonus free mount.
That's pretty cool.
And then there was the Warbear. Were you familiar with that? Which I think that was Burning Crusade too.
Yeah, was that the one that you could get by doing PvP?
No, it was the first one they implemented by doing a dungeon where if you did the dungeon within a certain amount of time or the raid, you got the like Amani Warbear, and it was the first bear mount other than the polar bear at the time. It had like the little bongos on the back and stuff, and it was like really hard. And what ended up happening was people would end up paying other people in-game gold to run them through it so that they could get it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another good game for mounts is I would say Paladins. They've got just a wide variety of mounts that you can get from that. But of course it's like, like buying a skin per se instead of running a instance to try to get it.
Yeah, can you pay for them in Paladins too then? So you can just kind of buy the cool looking one?
Yeah, you can pay for them. Some of them, though, are like limited edition. Like I've got a couple of Twitch mounts where you can only get them by going through the Twitch Prime and getting your loot boxes.
Okay. See, stuff in-game content like that I'm always okay with because it never like hurts the actual game. It's just like aesthetic.
Exactly.
When I thought of actual horses, though, the only horse that came to my mind was the one that Link rides in like the Ocarina of Time game, and I can't even remember its name off the top of my head. That's how
Esperon or something like that, or what is it? It starts with an E.
I'm gonna type it up. Oh, Epona?
Epona, that's it.
Yeah. That's the only horse I could actually think of that like a named actual horse that came to my mind. I also thought of the animals that Donkey Kong rides in the Donkey Kong Country games. Like he rides that fish, he rides the rhino, he rides the ostrich.
I remember the rhino. I guess he does ride an ostrich. I wasn't really a big Donkey Kong Country person.
Oh man, those were like perfect. I was like 4th grade, 5th grade when those came out, so I was like the perfect age for those like little platformers.
Ooh, how about Darksiders?
Oh, that's good. I just played the remaster of the 3rd one on the Switch. I just reviewed it. I actually did not review it super favorably, though. I was kind of taken aback by it. I don't know if it was like the not a great like remaster, or if it's just like didn't translate well to like 2021 standards. But I really struggled getting into it.
Well, Darksiders is kind of hit or miss anyways. I've played, I think, 2 of them, and they weren't games I ever finished.
Yeah, that was one of those games where the goal is when you're reviewing a game is to like try to finish it, but I really struggled to finish it where like I kind of forced myself. And I don't even think I beat the final boss. I just knew it was the last boss because I had looked it up and I was like, that's okay. I saw like most of this. I saw like 99.9% of this content. I think I can like fairly review it at this point. Were you an Elder Scrolls guy?
No, I'm not an Elder Scrolls guy, but I know they've got mounts in that too, right?
Yeah, and they've got a couple of like special ones with like that you get through like certain reputations or by stealing and things like that. So there's some of those too.
Get those grind mounts, huh?
Yeah. And then there's also like the I think was it Oblivion with the horse armor? That was kind of like a horse fiasco. Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not.
So Oblivion had the first or one of the first DLCs ever, right? And the first DLC for Oblivion was horse armor. So it was literally armor for your horse.
Interesting.
And the big problem with it was kind of like what we kind of have now with like pay to win kind of things, where it was armor for your horse, which kept your horse alive, but you had to pay for it. And at the time, the price of it was like $1 or $2, something like kind of ridiculous, where you're like, oh, it's just like $2. It's not that big of a deal. But like, if you look at it, that's kind of like the first paid DLC that like resulted in like, this terrible thing that people like hate, having to pay extra for things that, affect gameplay.
The microtransactions of life.
Yeah. Like it's the first, or considered like the first big game to like have done that. I just remember it was constantly a thing. And if you Google the Oblivion horse armor, it's like the ugliest thing ever. It's like this terrible shade of like jade green and looks like horrible on it. But like it was kind of necessary because your horses like would die all the time.
Upgraded Minecraft armor for your horse?
Yeah. It's super janky looking.
That's funny.
Well, is there anything else you can think of when you think of horses and video games or mounts?
Yeah, I was trying to think of something else. You got Spirited.
Yeah, that's not Spirited. Yeah, horse. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever played any horse-based games, any heavily horse-based games.
Yeah, I don't think there is a lot of heavily horse-based games. And if they are, they're usually rated or geared towards a younger audience than what we would play.
Yeah. When you type in horse-based games, there are not a lot of good choices. Let's just say that.
Farming simulator.
Yeah, Star Stable Online. It looks like it's just like a horse girl thing.
My Little Riding Champion.
Oh, there you go. Oh, Sims 3 pets. That's yeah, they got horses in that. That's pretty legit.
Oh, Viva Pinata.
I'm now afraid that I've typed in horse video games, and now I'm afraid of what my search results will like be biased towards for the next month.
All your ads that you're going to get on YouTube.
Yeah, like horse girl stuff. I worked at Cracker Barrel, like 12, 13 years ago. So it was before Tess and I were married. And at Cracker Barrel, the way that it works is there's sections to everything. So like there's like I live in Columbus, Ohio, so there's like Ohio State Buckeye section where it's just like Buckeye related, paraphernalia. They would have a little like candy section that would change, or they'd have a bunch of Christmas sections. Every now and again, they would have like a horse section where it would be like horse plates or horse lamps or like horse related like towels or blankets or something. And I was always shocked by people who would come in and go like straight towards it, or they just like buy that stuff up. Or I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, who would buy this? And then like people would come in and buy it by the truckloads. I'm like, oh, okay. Like there is a demographic for, 60-year-old horse girls that are still into horses.
Oh, don't get me started. My mother and my sister both collect the Breyer horses, the little what are they? They're basically like statuettes of horses in different poses.
Well, cool, man. I guess that will kind of like we'll call it on that note. We'll
right?
The other horse stuff for whatever Eric and Max and Joe come up with. God only knows.
Don't let him pick again. Take his name off the wheel.
Music Matrix.
Well, hey everybody! Happy couple days before Christmas.
Before Christmas.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Nexus show. A rare unknown fact. I'm just going to start out with not what we're going to talk about. Joe and I actually have a Christmas song. We have a Christmas song.
We do.
Which is available online.
Yep.
For free. And I'll leave it up to Elliot as to whether or not he wants to link to it in the show notes. Maybe Elliot wants to link to it.
Maybe Elliot wants to play it. Elliot, I hope that you're playing this song as an intro and an outro.
Why don't you just flip Elliot an MP3 of the song?
Done.
Just in case he wants to edit it in.
Done. Christmas song.
But that's not what this is all about. So as you know, the topic this week is horses.
Yes.
And I think we actually have a pretty good show about horses so far. I think we got some good stuff. But I was thinking about horses and horse games, and I was thinking about different games that I've played where you ride horses.
Yes.
And
Riders.
Assassin's Creed comes to mind.
Assassin's Creed, Shinobi 3.
But my brain kept going into the Wayback Machine, right? Uh-oh. And there are two games that I just kept circling around in my head. And maybe you're familiar with them. The first one is called Steeplechase from 1975, the Atari game. It was actually, it was a cabinet at first, right? And it was in black and white. But did you ever play Steeplechase on Atari?
I did not play Steeplechase, but I'm going to find it now because, they have those the Atari 2600. Atari 2600, yeah?
Yeah, the Atari 2600.
Oh yeah,
and even before that, it was like an arcade cabinet. So I was 3 when Steeplechase came out, but I remember playing Steeplechase on the 2600 and being mad frustrated by it. Like basically, what happens is there's 4 horses, and you're one of the horses. The horses start running automatically, and then you have your one button, and you jump over. You have to time the jumps over the obstacles, which are just blocks, right?
Right.
And hard as shit. Like so freaking hard. And the other one that I was thinking of was Stampede on the 2600, which is actually
that one too.
An Activision game. You never played that one?
Oh, I've played a lot of the Activision games, but that one I skipped too.
Yeah, so my neighbors had this one, and you were on a horse.
Yes.
And then like calves or sheep or blobs are running away from you, and you have a lasso, and so your horse kind of goes up and down vertically on the screen, and then you have to time your lasso to catch the blobs. And then if you catch the blobs, then you get points because it's a stampede. It's a stampede, and you're a cowboy.
Stampede. Oh, look, here's Stampede right here.
Are you looking at it online?
I'm looking at it right now online.
I would say graphically, Stampede is maybe like a small step above Steeplechase as far as like horse representation goes.
Okay, look, here it is. Yeah, so Steeplechase. Wow. Okay, so you can do different games with Steeplechase. You can do Sidekick, Pilgrim, Cowpoke, Wrangler, Top Hand, Trail Boss, Rancher, and Cattle Baron. And for those of you who are thinking, well, the Atari 2600 only had one button, how could you select these games? The selecting the different games was on the console.
It was on the console. It was like a switch that like it was a spring-loaded switch, and you would just go boop 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 boop, boop, boop. And switch from one game to the next. That's how like on Battle, was that what it was called? Combat. On Combat.
Oh, Combat.
There was there were tank fighting games and plane fighting games and so on, and you would switch them by flipping the switch actually on the console, and it would like flip between the different games.
So when you hear tank controls, like games like Resident Evil and tank controls, or Murder House, what's up?
Right.
Combo. Yeah, that's where they get it from because you had to push up to go forward.
That's right.
Combat.
That's right. Combat.
Boom shaka shaka.
So Joe, you and I are probably the only ones around, at least at the Gaming Nexus show bullpen, that are old enough to have like actually played Atari when Atari was a thing.
Yes.
Right. So are you old enough? Like I know you're like 5 years younger than me.
I am.
Okay. So you played Atari when Atari was.
I played Atari when Atari was the jam. I played Miss Pac-Man on Atari. I played Pac-Man on Atari, and I'm talking, pew pew pew, bam 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 bam, and bloop 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 bloop. You know, whatever that sound was. I played that shit, and I tell you, I kid you not, it was the hottest shit ever, right? Centipede, pole position, Midnight Magic, like all that shit was on the Atari, and it was the jam.
It was the jam.
It was the jam.
I remember I went to a birthday party when I was in 4th or 5th grade, and it was a Pac-Man birthday party. It was right when Pac-Man came out, and they basically had all these kids hanging out in somebody's darkened living room, passing around the controller and playing Pac-Man. And that was it. That was the party. Like we were just playing Pac-Man on the Atari 2600. It was like right when Pac-Man came out. And so, it was obviously super exciting. And this kid was the most privileged kid of all because he had Pac-Man. I didn't even have an Atari. I had to rely on the neighbors. I had a good buddy down the street who had an Atari, and I played his Atari. I didn't get anything until the Commodore 64. That was my first home gaming system thing. I got it by pretending that I was going to learn computer programming on it, but really I was just playing Frogger on that shit.
That's right.
So how familiar do you feel you are with like the lexicon of Atari games?
I'm pretty familiar. I'm the guy who got mad at so you're talking about privilege, right? So we say that the PlayStation 5 is a social piece, something that you could say you have, a flex, if you will. Yeah. The flex for Atari is the motherfuckers that had the paddles. Right?
Oh yeah. Oh, for real.
If you had the paddles, you was like, oh, this motherfucker's paid. Automatically, like you would go over to the house and you'd have the paddles. Dude, I think my cousin
for
Mike
Centipede.
Long,
oh my god.
Oh
my god. Yeah.
He had the paddles. He had the damn paddles. He had it all. But so yes, Pitfall. I just had a dream about the 2600 version of Jungle Hunt. My God.
Mm-hmm.
I played my first Defender on Atari. I played Asteroids on Atari.
All right, so I'm gonna just stop you right here. Like it sounds like you're pretty familiar with the games, and that's why I invited you here today because it's time for a quiz. Are you ready?
Oh, it's an Atari quiz. Let's do it.
It's an Atari quiz.
So I love quizzes. I hate quizzes. Let's do it.
So what I'm gonna describe the game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read like off the Wikipedia description of the game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip over any stuff that's gonna give it away.
Okay.
and then I'm going to ask you to see if you can name the game. They're going to start out
I
easy.
should probably close this browser window.
Close that browser. Yeah. Close that browser window. They're going to start out easy, and they're going to get harder as we go. Okay?
Oh, shit. Okay.
All right. The first one is just a dead giveaway. Ready?
Yep.
The player controls blank and is tasked with collecting all the treasures in a jungle within 20 minutes. The world consists of 255 screens, which are horizontally connected in a flip screen
Pitfall.
manner. There it is.
Okay.
Good job.
Yeah.
1 point for Joe. 1 point
Yeah.
for Joe. Keeping track. Next. The first fixed shooter set the template for the shoot 'em up genre. The goal is to defeat wave after wave of descending aliens. with a
Galaxian.
Nope.
Galaga.
Fixed.
Nope. Fixed.
Okay. Now you've lost 2 points, so now you're negative 1 point.
Oh, what? Every time I guess wrong, I lose a point?
Yep, you're
All
a
right.
negative 1.
All
Sorry.
right, keep reading. I'm sorry.
The goal is to defeat wave after wave of descending aliens with a horizontally moving laser to earn as many points as possible.
Yar's Revenge.
Oh my god, negative 2 points.
What? Horizontal.
It's not correct. Waves of descending aliens, a fixed horizontal laser that can only move horizontally.
A fixed horizontal laser.
I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
There's some things you can hide behind.
Oh, Space Invaders?
Yes, Jesus, God, all
You
right.
said fixed. It threw me off. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
You can't move anywhere, but when
I'm
you say
already sad
fixed-
for you. I'm already sad for you.
Horizontal.
You know what? I'm gonna take away these negative points because I feel like
Yes.
that's not fair. So now we'll just go ahead. And
How
give
many
you 2
points I have?
2.
Yeah, I'm winning.
All right, next one. A layer of bricks lines the top third of the screen.
Breakout.
Yeah, nice.
Come on, man.
Nice.
Should I let you read them all and then guess?
You can if you want.
I think it's more interesting to the listener if I let you read them all and then guess.
Yeah, it's fun fact. So
right.
Breakout used the paddle. The arcade game was released in Japan by Namco. Worldwide commercial success, among the top 5 highest grossing arcade video game machines in 1976, and then in the top 3 in 77 in the US and Japan. The Atari 2600 port uses color graphics instead of the monochrome, which is what the arcade was. So the arcade was in black and white.
Another thing you could select on the Atari 2600, you can select between monochrome and color, right on the console, which is weird.
Yeah, slick. Well, I mean, back then I had
Yeah.
a black and white TV. I had a black and white TV till I was like 12. Like, I didn't even know TV was in color when I was a kid. And I remember the first time my dad brought home a color TV and plugged it in and he turned it on. You know what was on TV? What's
that?
Happening. It was What's Happening. And I saw it in color and my brain exploded. I had no idea that those shows were in color. Like any of the shows were in color.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so as a result, I watched lots of shows that were in black and white when I was a kid too, and had no idea that they were old. Like I watched like The Addams Family and stuff like that, and I just
Mr. Ed.
Yeah, those were just the shows, you know. Like they were no different from the other shows. So
I said Mr. Ed because horses.
Nice horse tie-in. Very good.
Man.
Very good.
Come on, man.
All right, next one.
Yeah.
The player controls a square avatar whose quest is to explore an open-ended environment to find a magical chalice and return it to the Golden Castle. The game world is populated by roaming enemies, 3 dragons that can eat the avatar, and a bat that randomly steals and hides items around the game world.
Adventure.
Yes, sir.
The game with the first Easter egg ever.
That's right. That's right. You've been
man.
reading Ready Player One.
Yeah. Or watching Ready Player Run reluctantly and then going, oh, well, it wasn't so bad.
It's not so bad.
It's not so bad. It's not so bad
cool.
at all.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, next one. The player's 6 cities are being attacked by an endless hail of ballistic missiles, some of which split like multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles. New weapons are introduced in later levels. Smart bombs that can evade a less than perfectly targeted missile, and bomber planes that, oh my god, this just goes on and on and on. The player must defend.
Command.
Yes, sir. The player must defend 6 cities in their zone before being destroyed. Yep.
I didn't know there were cities down there, but I get it now.
Those are cities. Those are cities. The
and
missiles
you are
coming
on
in.
the missile command. You're on the actual Earth. So you're
Right. You're on the
yes.
Earth. You got your cities, and like, nukes are on the Earth. You got your cities, and like, nukes are coming in, and you're trying to shoot those nukes to keep them off your cities. That's the concept.
Imagine
We just know
your
it by the
imagination-
shapes.
Yeah, your imagination having to go that far, and you're like, oh, well, it's Missile Command. And Missile Command is the only game in the arcade that ends with the words "the end."
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
The end. That's it.
Nice bit of trivia there.
Come on now.
All right, next one. Getting a little tougher now.
Bring it.
Viewed from a top-down perspective, the player flies a fighter jet over the River of No Return in a raid behind enemy lines. The player's jet can only move left and right. It cannot maneuver up or down on the screen, but it can accelerate and decelerate. The player's jet crashes if it collides with the riverbank or an enemy craft, or if the jet runs out of fuel. Assuming fuel can be replenished and the player evades damage, gameplay is essentially unlimited.
This isn't combat with the planes, is it? Oh, there
No.
he is. Oh, okay.
This is not combat with the planes. There's some
Jet-
hints in this. There's some hints in this first sentence.
Jet
You want me to
fire.
read it again?
Airplane.
Jetfire airplane is not a game. Just made that shit up.
Airplane,
Jetfire airplane.
That doesn't sound like an Atari game, though. Play Jetfire Airplane on your Atari 2600.
Viewed from a top-down perspective,
Yes.
the player flies a fighter jet over the River of No Return in a raid behind enemy lines.
Top raid. Raid top. I got nothing.
All right. I'm
gonna be mad.
docking you this point.
That's fine.
You're not getting this one. It's
Okay.
called River Raid. River Raid.
Fuck. All right.
This is-
That's an Activision game, though, yeah?
It is an Activision
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Next one.
Yep.
A maze video game. The player controls protagonist Taizo Hori to eliminate each screen's enemies. Red creatures with comically large goggles and a fire-breathing green dragons. And fire-breathing green dragons. Taizo
Maze Runner?
Hori can use an air pump to inflate them to bursting or crush them under large falling rocks. Bonus points are awarded for squashing multiple enemies with a single rock.
Dig Dug, baby. Dig Dug?
Yes,
Yeah.
nice.
His name is Taizo?
His name is Taizo Hori.
Huh.
No shit.
Neat.
Fun
I
facts.
fucking love Dig Dug.
Fun
I
facts.
fucking love Dig Dug. I have the Miss Pac-Man 40th anniversary arcade 1-up, and it has Dig Dug on it and Fast Miss Pac-Man.
Oh, that's
So,
fun.
yeah.
Hey, do you ever play that Boulder Dash? Is that something that you mess with?
Mm-mm. I've never played it.
Me either. I've never messed with it either.
Should we?
It keeps
should we try
circling
it?
around. I don't
We should
know.
try it.
I got a code for it if we want to check it out.
We should try it.
Okay.
Alright.
Anyhow, pole position.
You
I just said the name of the game.
wait. This is the power of
Motherfucker.
editing. The power of editing. Go
Nope,
ahead and say
just
it.
forget
I'm
it.
gonna
No,
be
it's
like,
done.
Position
It's
poll.
It's over. It's over. We're moving on.
Did I get a point for that?
No. All right, next one. An arcade game released by Atari in 1983, ported onto the 2600. The player controls Bentley Bear, who has to collect gems throughout a trimetric projected rendered castle while avoiding enemies, some of whom are after the gems as well. It's one of the first arcade action games with an ending instead of continuing indefinitely, looping or ending in a kill screen.
Crystal Castles.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. How did you know that? Did you play that?
Crystal Castles. I played the shit out of Crystal Castles, and it wasn't until I was an adult that I figured out. So you know how you play those games as, arcade games or whatever as a kid, and you're just like kind of going through it. But as an adult, you see different things, like
Yes.
the ramps that like push you up towards the top platform. Because I would get all the jewels around the castle, but I couldn't get the ones above the castle, like on a different plane.
Yeah.
And then I realized that you could ride the fucking thing up, and I was just like, as an adult. Then I started breezing through that bitch, and I was like, Crystal Castles is great. I don't know.
Hours and hours of frustration as a child.
Yep,
Lack of
And-
comprehension of simple game mechanics.
that's right. It's me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Next one. The game is similar to Avalanche in concept, but instead of there being a pre-existing set of rocks across the top of the screen that randomly fall, a character known as the Mad Bomber moves back and forth, randomly dropping bombs. As the game progresses, the Mad Bomber traverses the top of the screen more erratically, dropping bombs at increasingly higher speeds, making each of the 7 higher levels more difficult.
I would like to quote the great NBA Jam announcer Tim Kitzroy when I say kaboom,
Oh, nice one.
kaboom.
You're really doing well. I think you're doing better than I would at this.
Yes.
Especially with no warning. Like, you had no prep time. I just threw you into this shit.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got a text this morning.
I literally invited Joe to a call, like, you want to talk about Atari? And then that was it. So he had no idea I was going to do this to him.
Also, I don't know if this name is really Tim Kitzroy, so if I botch that, hey, internet, come at me. All right, go.
Next one. The main characters have to investigate the sewers of New York after strange creatures have been appearing down there. The objective of the game is to defeat all of the enemies in each phase. The mechanics only involve running and jumping. Players cannot jump on enemies and squash them unless they were already turned on their back.
Mario Brothers.
Yes, sir.
Man, that description was very vivid. That one almost got me. I was like, what? But then when you said that you can't jump on them and squash like Super Mario Brothers, you have to flip them over and then punch them.
Yeah, I just thought that one was kind of fun because people think of Mario Brothers as a Nintendo thing, and of course it was published by Nintendo,
Mm-hmm.
but it was 100% on Atari. So
It
was
was an
Donkey
Atari 2600.
Donkey Kong.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Donkey Kong was on there. Did you ever mess with the 5600 or the 5800?
The 5200, and yes, those big ass
5200?
cartridges. Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
had
yeah, yeah.
Cubert, Centipede, Pac-Man. That one had the controller with the keypad.
Yes.
Which was weird.
And it looked
I'm looking
real.
at a
It looked
ColecoVision
like-
Vision right now.
like-
Actually,
The graphics on those games in the 5200 looked real, as
Yeah.
opposed, like it looked like the real arcade game. Like
Yeah.
that Popeye looked like Popeye.
that Popeye
Right.
looked like Popeye.
Yeah, like 100%. So definitely like a much more faithful render because like the 2600 they were working on like some 1972 shit. Like they
Right.
were like just like performing miracles to get anything to run on this thing. And so when they did the 5200, then they had like more modern tech to work with at the
That
time. So
5200 was amazing.
oh, I remember the first time I saw it in somebody's house. I was like, it's like having an arcade machine in your house is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Mom. Mom was like, no.
Somebody gave me a 5200 right before I got the Nintendo Entertainment System for Christmas.
Oh, really?
And then I was like, well, this 5200 sucks because I got Mario now. So I don't know what happened to it.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
It's a
I
bummer
still
that you
got the
got it
game
after it was
somewhere.
already outdated.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll sell. We'll see.
All right, I'm going to skip the next one because we already kind of talked about it. The next one was Jungle Hunt.
Okay.
And I just added a description of each of the levels, but you clearly know those already. So,
Yes.
all right, the next one. Player controls a military helicopter in a desert scenario, protecting a convoy of trucks. The goal is to destroy all enemy fighter jets and helicopters that attack the player's helicopter and the friendly trucks traveling below. The game
But-
ends when the player loses all of his or her lives or reaches 999,999 points.
But it's not Desert Strike for the Sega
not-
Genesis.
It is not Desert Strike but that game is the jam.
Yeah.
As is Jungle Strike. Those
Yeah.
games are amazing. Super hot graphics for the time on Desert Strike and Jungle Strike.
Yeah, they were dope. I don't know this one. Not Sky Kid. Sky Kid?
No, not Sky
Okay.
Kid.
No. Nope. I don't know.
Chopper
this one.
Command.
Ah!
Chopper Command.
See, and then you tell me the titles, and I'm like, motherfucker, yes. That's it. How many points do I have? 17? Sweet. Let's go.
You have nine points and you've missed 2. So far, like really killing it.
All right, I'm in.
There's 3 more.
Yes.
Players take on the role of a teenage babysitter who tries to save as many children from an unnamed knife-wielding killer as possible. In an effort to save money, most versions of the game did not have a label on the cartridge. It was simply a piece of tape with the name of the game written in marker.
What?
When the babysitter is killed, her head disappears and is replaced by blood pulsating from the neck as she runs around exaggeratedly.
What?
It's based on a popular film of the time. The game
Friday the 13th?
Nope.
The Nightmare on Elm Street?
Nope.
Halloween?
Yes.
There was a Halloween 2600 game?
There was a Halloween 2600 game, and apparently it did so poorly that when they were, discounting all the leftover, like just getting rid of them, the ones in the factory, that's why they didn't have any labels. They were just sticking tape on the thing. And towards the very end, they weren't even printing boxes. They were just writing Halloween on the box with markers.
Oh,
It's like sending it out to stores because the company that made it just went broke. They just went broke like immediately and died,
Oh, jeez.
All right, I got.
So wait, there are really. I wonder how much those are. There are really cartridges out there with just a piece of tape
Just
on the front.
Yes, that says that somebody in the factory literally wrote the word Halloween on.
Oh, that's amazing.
All right, next one. The player takes on the role of a chainsaw-wielding villain and attempts to murder trespassers while avoiding obstacles such as fences, wheelchairs, and cow skulls. The player controls the murderer with the objective to chase and kill victims. Each victim slain gives the player 1,000 points. The player receives additional fuel at the end of at every 5,000 points. A life is lost if the player's chainsaw runs out of gasoline. Gameplay ends when the last tank of gas is consumed.
Not Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
It is Texas Chainsaw.
There's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
There is. I'm going to give you that one. Just because you guessed it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
There really is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Guess who made it?
Who?
The same people that made the Halloween game. They they failed with the Texas Chainsaw
These
Massacre. So
motherfuckers.
they tried again with Halloween, and that's when they went broke.
They're sitting at home like, where did we go wrong?
Maybe these murder games aren't the way to go. They were just ahead of their time. They were just ahead of their time because now murder games is like all we got.
That's right. They went on to make Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight. All right, one more. Last one.
I'm ready.
In the game, the player controls a naked man in a labyrinth. The objective is to reach the door at the center of the labyrinth, avoiding scissors, crabs, or teeth. Clearing the challenge, the player enters a bonus stage, simulating sexual intercourse between the man and a woman.
What? What?
I want to repeat. He's avoiding scissors, crabs, and teeth.
Leisure Suit Larry.
No.
Humble beginnings.
No. This is a real game entitled X-Man. X-Man.
X-Man?
X-Man. Yeah, not X-Men. That's different. X-Men is different from this. This is X-Man.
X-Man?
Rated,
Or just
yeah,
X-Man?
rated
Oh.
X-Man.
I guess I gotta find this game too.
A real game produced for the 2600, one of the very first, shall we say, inappropriate games made for home consoles.
Was it made by the same guys that made Texas Chainsaw?
It was not. No.
Oh.
It was not. It was made by a different guy. I think I left the Wikipedia page up on my. I did not.
That's funny.
There were very few fun facts about it, anyhow, other than the fact that it was kind of porny.
Huh.
So
Well, now I gotta look that up too.
Something for the listeners to look up and take a look at.
There you go.
But that's it. That's what I had. It was Atari. It was a Christmas Atari quiz because I was feeling like When one thinks of Christmas, one thinks of Atari.
I fucking enjoyed it, and I think we should do this more often.
All right, cool.
I definitely think we should do the video game quiz. Old
I think
school
so.
video game quiz.
It's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun. I'd like to be on the receiving end of the
Oh
old
yeah,
school
yeah.
video
No,
game
I got
quiz.
you.
PlayStation era? Oh my god.
Oh, I got you.
Oh my
'Cause
god.
Me
It'd
and
be
you
like,
with those Namco Museum discs.
yes, sir. Yes,
We wore the
sir.
motherfuckers out. And you and that big ass TV that it took 4 people to fucking move.
I still got that shit. It's hooked
No,
up.
you don't.
Have I ever showed you a ppicture of the video game corner?
Oh yes,
I got
that's
the
on
video
that
game-
TV.
Yeah, I got the video
Oh
game
my
corner
God.
upstairs. I got that TV. It's a 36-inch flat screen Sony CRTV, like
God.
standard definition. And on that, I got the Super Nintendo. I got the Wii hooked up to that one. I don't know. There's like 5 or 6 systems hooked up to it, and then there's a high def TV, like a 4K TV next to that, and that's got like the more modern systems on it. So there's like a PS4 and
See, you've upgraded it since.
PS3, and there's a Switch up there and some other shit. I have an Atari around here too that I need to get out and hook up too. And then I still have a few more systems that I haven't hooked up. There's a GameCube on that TV, on that old TV. Oh, and the 64 is on that. And I don't know, but because I don't ever get rid of any of it. It just piles up,
That's
and so I
amazing.
decided rather than letting it sit in boxes, I got a Dreamcast up there. It's all hooked up all the time. So if I ever want to go play any of it, then and then other than that, there's dust.
This is why we're here, guys. I'm telling you, I got too many video games to count, to even think about. I have 4 arcade 1-ups that I don't even fucking need. Like, why do I need those? And I was like, well, I turned them all on one day and sat here for like 30 minutes just to listen to the
just looking at it.
yeah, just to listen to the demo screens and hear all the sounds. And I was like, well, fuck, Aladdin's Castle, what's up? You know what I mean? It was crazy. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that all this shit is modernized now.
It is.
But
So
back
real
in the
quick
day-
before we go, I want to touch base on something real quick. Now, a couple weeks back, we made $100 bet
yeah,
that Zelda,
yeah,
I said would not come out in 2022, and you said it would come out in 2022, and that was leading up to like a major game show. I think it was the Video Game Awards,
yes,
and everybody was thinking they were going to show Zelda at it, and of course, Zelda was not there.
yes,
There was no Zelda that appeared.
none.
So I feel like, just in the spirit of Christmas,
Mm.
I feel like maybe letting you change your mind and back out of the bet now, just spirit of Christmas.
Okay. In the
So
spirit of
if
Christmas,
you
in
feel
the
like
spirit of
backing
Christmas,
out,
I decline. I decline. I still feel. I feel it in my groin. I feel it
okay.
in my chesticles.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
feel it in my heart that Nintendo will not let us down, and they will bring us the goodness that is the Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 unnamed sequel in 2022. Yes.
All right. So in the spirit of Christmas,
Mm.
Double or Nothing.
What? That's $200. I'll meet you halfway.
Eric trying to
And
get
go-
paid.
How about time and a half for nothing? How about that? How
Time
about
and a half for nothing.
150?
150?
150.
You willing to up the ante on
I'm
this?
up in the ante. 150.
All right.
That's
How about
the
this?
legend-
We'll up the ante for right
Yeah.
now to 150.
Yeah.
Why don't we revisit the topic in June, halfway through the year?
All
And
right.
in this,
Oh, that's
in the
E3.
in the spirit of E3,
Look.
then I'll give you the ability to back out again, or
I'll give you
double or nothing.
$75. If it's June at E3, they don't announce shit. And I'm like, oh, well, here you go. In the spirit of Juneteenth.
in the spirit of right on.
Oh, shit.
All right. Well, thanks everybody to listen to our Atari chatter, and have a Merry Christmas. And now back to the Gaming Nexus show.
Elliot, play our song.
Crispness. It's the most beautiful time in the world. Wonderful time of the year. Yeah, yo, Merry Christmas, girl. Put this in your mouth.
this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth.
Merry Christmas, girl.
Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in
I
your
made
mouth.
this delicious apple pie. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. My gingerbread is fly. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Potatoes and marshmallows, girl. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this cabbage in this jello, girl. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. I got you salivating for this seasonal celebration. That one baby brought salvation, so I made this dope creation. On the birthday of the Savior, I'ma ask a little favor. Stuff your fat face with these sweets I made up just for you to savor. Got this turkey and this dressing, just say grace and give the blessing. Got this priest hide in the corner if you wanna do confessing. Man, I'm so impressive with desserts and these side dishes. Got these presents and a tree to grant you all your Christmas wishes. Candy canes and lollipops, girl. Put this in your mouth. Yeah. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Push it in and never stop, girl. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. My gravy has no equal, girl. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Fisher Price, little people, girl. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth.
Look, under the tree, all for you, what can I say? I'm surprised that you made it past the first 90 days. Anything you see, I'm buying, but you know, if I stick this lump of coal in that ass, in 2 weeks you'll have a diamond. Ding. Strike like a candy cane, come a little closer. Chestnuts on your chin like an NBA poster. You provide the sweet potato pie, I provide the cream, and it grew 3 sizes that day. Know what I mean? Baby girl, this ain't no fruit cake.
Put this in your mouth. Hey. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth.
Wanna be good for Christmas sake?
Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth.
Fill your stockings and your socks, girl.
Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth.
Can't you guess what's in this box, girl?
Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Put this in your mouth. Yeah, girl, I got all these treats for you to eat from my feet. I got Cheetos that I kept in my socks for you for Christmas, girl. I put them in your stockings, you pull them out. Why's your fingers orange, girl? Because you need to put them in your mouth. Lick the orange fruit. Put them in your mouth. Put them in your mouth.
Am I keeping that? That's good.
All right, so the Wheel of Death, as always, everyone's name is added in extra time except for
What?
Eric. Eric only has one name.
Okay,
Yeah,
so he still
everyone's
does
name
have
gets
one.
added.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. I'm
Oh.
not.
Okay, you're
Were you
not
about
a
to say you
full
weren't
tyrant.
unreasonable?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, we're spinning. Let's spin. I can hear the sound
I can
effects.
hear it.
So I guess no one else can. Okay. Okay.
Eric?
Oh my God. You know how I know there's no God in this world?
Please tell me it's not me.
No,
Sounds like-
it's not
Oh my
Eric.
God.
It's not Eric.
Is it me?
Because I was.
It's just as bad though. In my
I was gonna
opinion,
say
it's just as
reptiles.
bad.
It's me?
Yeah, it's Joe.
Yeah!
All right.
So.
Woo!
What are we speaking on, Joe?
We're talking about feelings.
Okay.
See, that's a fantastic word to pick.
Feelings.
That's a great one.
It's not as
Feelings.
good as horses.
So good.
It's dive. No.
No, you're
I'll
right.
never hit
not.
the heights of trucks
When-
again.
We'll never have horses again now.
When
Thanks
the
to
spinner
you.
was spinning
Just wait till he gets to me.
in a panic, I wrote
Horses
down the word
again.
reptiles and circled it. Like, this is what I'm
I would have went into a.
Why are they all animal related with you? Are you just what are you trying to
Snakes are
tell
reptiles.
us?
So I don't know. It's just like I never think ahead to come
Yeah.
up with something.
That's
so
the
I'm
point.
glad it's feelings. Feelings is great. Feelings is wonderful.
Yeah, I think feelings is good.
Yeah.
Feelings will be really good. Well, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with feelings. Until
Nothing more
then,
than.
Catch him.
happy holidays if you're listening before then, and happy New Year, I guess. And we'll be back in the new year with the same show as usual.
Tally ho!
Bye, y'all.
Hey! Or horses. No. Okay.
You don't say
Said
hey
that
at the
beginning.
end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Try. All right. Elliot, move that to the beginning.
Yeah, not doing that. Definitely not doing that.